The rain had beaten Lagos like it had a score to settle. For hours the sky poured and poured until gutters overflowed, Danfo buses crawled like tired insects, and people hid under kiosks, holding nylon bags over their heads. But as evening came, the rain finally grew tired too. It slowed, then stopped, leaving the streets wet and shining like somebody had washed the whole city. Under the overpass near the marina, life returned one horn at a time. Cars moved slowly. A hawker balanced a tray of gala and la casera on her head, shouting, "Gala, gala, cold drink." A bus conductor hung from the door of a yellow Danfo, yelling, "CMS, Obalende, one chance no day-o." And in the middle of it all, under the neon glow of a huge billboard advertising a new luxury hotel, a small girl moved to a rhythm only she could hear. Her name was Amina. She was 12 years old, dark-skinned, with big, curious eyes and tightly packed cornrows that had grown rough from too many days without proper care. She wore a faded yellow dress, torn slightly at the hem, a dress that had once belonged to a mother she could barely remember. Her bare feet slapped softly against the wet concrete as she twirled and turned, arms stretched, fingers open like she was trying to hold the wind. In her hand, she clutched a tattered notebook. Its pages were filled with sketches of dancers, long legs and strong arms, dresses spinning like flowers. Whenever Lagos felt too heavy, Amina opened the book and drew. Each line was a promise she whispered to herself. One day I will dance on a real stage. One day I won't be invisible. Her home was a crumpled cardboard shelter pushed against a pillar of the bridge, held together with nylon, stubbornness, and a few stones. But when she danced, she didn't feel like a girl who slept on cardboard. She felt like the whole world was her stage. Across the flooded road, the sleek glass tower of Okonkwo Group rose into the darkening sky, windows glowing like stars. Inside, on the 25th floor, billionaire Victor Okonkwo paced his office, a frown fixed on his face. He was tall, dark, and handsome in that polished Lagos way. Clean haircut, tailored navy suit, gold wristwatch that could buy a small house in the village. The walls of his office were lined with awards: Businessman of the Year, Philanthropist of the Year, Top 100 African CEOs. But tonight, none of that brought joy. His laptop screen showed graphs and numbers, profit margins, projections, quotes for the upcoming charity gala. He should have been excited. He was hosting half of Lagos's elite for a fundraiser in a few days. But his mind was somewhere else. On his desk lay a framed photo of two identical girls with wide smiles and matching dimples, each wearing a pink dress and holding a balloon. Lana and Lola. His 10-year-old twin daughters. They were bright, intelligent, full of jokes. But now they were also paralyzed. A car accident 2 years earlier had taken away their ability to walk. Doctors called it spinal cord injury. Victor called it his greatest regret. Since the accident, his mansion in Victoria Island had become a quiet house filled with ramps, wheelchairs, and careful voices. "Daddy, can we go out today?" they would ask. He would always hesitate. He loved them more than anything, but guilt sat heavily on his chest. He threw himself deeper into work, into money, into projects, as if he could buy back their legs. That evening, he had promised them something small. "We'll go to the rooftop garden," he had said that morning. "Fresh air, stars, small music, just you and me." He looked at the clock. Almost 7 p.m. With a sigh, he closed his laptop and walked to the window, staring down at the wet city. From that height, everyone looked tiny, like moving dots. But as lightning flickered faintly in the distance and the neon billboard glowed brighter, something caught his attention. One small figure, moving. He narrowed his eyes. Far below, under the overpass, a little girl spun with arms wide, her yellow dress flying, bare feet splashing tiny droplets of water. She twisted, bent, leaped, no music, no teacher, no stage. Just her and the wet Lagos concrete. Victor watched, chest tightening. There was something in the way she moved. Freedom, pain, joy, all mixed together like jollof rice that had both pepper and sweetness. His phone rang, dragging him from the window. "Hello?" he answered. "Good evening, sir," came the voice of his head of security, Musa, from downstairs. "Sir, I think you should see something. There's a small girl dancing under the bridge near our building. I've never seen anything like it. The guards are— Sir, we're all watching." Victor glanced again at the glass, at the tiny yellow speck spinning like a flame in the darkness. Somewhere above his office, on the penthouse level, Lana and Lola were waiting for him, probably staring at the sky from their wheelchairs, wondering when Daddy would come. Victor rubbed his temple. "Start a live feed," he said softly. "Send it to my phone. And keep an eye on her. I'm coming down." He grabbed his car key, one thought echoing in his mind. Who is that girl, and why does it feel like she's dancing for my daughters? He didn't know it yet, but that single decision, to follow a little orphan's dance, was about to change his life, his daughters' futures, and the story of Lagos in a way that would shock everyone. By the time Victor stepped into the elevator, his phone was already buzzing. A notification popped up. Live security feed, Marina Overpass. He tapped it. The screen filled with the blurry but steady image of Amina under the bridge. The security guard holding the phone tried his best to keep his hand from shaking, but even with the slight wobble, the girl's movements were clear. She spun, she dipped. She stretched one leg behind her, arms raised as if embracing invisible music only she could hear. Rainwater still clung to the ground, reflecting her tiny figure like a ghost dancing with her. On the penthouse rooftop, Lana and Lola sat in their wheelchairs, wrapped in light sweaters. The rooftop garden was beautiful, potted palms, fairy lights wrapped around short trees, a small wooden platform at the center that Victor had built for their physiotherapy. Tonight, a young maid named Chidinma had pushed them to the edge of the glass railing so they could feel the breeze and watch the city. "Daddy is late again," Lana muttered. Lola sighed. "Leave him. He's busy with his important people." Chidinma smiled shyly. You people should pity Oga now. He loves you." "Love is not only talk," Lola replied quietly. "Love is time." Just then, an alert sound pinged from the tablet mounted to Lana's wheelchair, linked to the house security system. "What's that?" she asked. Chidinma leaned closer. Security feed. Maybe they pressed wrong thing." But curiosity won. Chidinma tapped the notification and the video expanded on the screen. For a moment, the three of them went silent. A small girl in a yellow dress filled the tablet screen, dancing under a bridge as if the place was a theater and the world was her audience. Her face glowed with joy. Her feet moved fast and light, splashing water. Her arms told stories. "Wow," Lana breathed. Lola's eyes shone. She's so free." Chidinma whispered. "See her, she's just dancing like she doesn't care who is watching. Ah, God." Lana's hand instinctively brushed the side of her wheelchair. "I miss standing," she said softly. "I miss moving my legs like that." As if the girl inside the tablet could hear her, Amina twirled and leaped, hugging herself as she spun. "I feel like she's dancing for us," Lola murmured. On the ground floor, Victor stepped out of the elevator, heart racing in a way that had nothing to do with business. Two security guys met him at the door, one still holding his phone high, recording. "Where is she?" Victor asked. "Just ahead, sir, near the bridge," Musa replied. "She's been dancing since the rain stopped. People have gathered." They walked quickly through the lobby, the guards holding umbrellas above their heads, even though the rain had stopped, just light drips from rooftops. As they reached the roadside, Victor saw it clearly. A small crowd had formed, Okada riders, hawkers, office workers waiting for buses. Some recorded with their phones, some just watched quietly. And in the center, Amina. Up close, Victor saw her better. Skinny arms, bare feet, the hem of her yellow dress frayed and stained. But her eyes, those eyes were alive, focused, burning. She moved with shocking grace for a child her age. It wasn't any formal dance he knew, it was a mixture of everything. A little ballet from the pictures she had seen in old newspapers, a little Nigerian freestyle, a little childish imagination. The security guard's phone vibrated in his hand again. Musa glanced down, then looked up at Victor. "Sir, the feed is displaying upstairs too. The twins are watching." Victor swallowed. For a second he saw it in his mind. His daughters' small faces lit by the glow of the screen, their paralyzed legs still, their hearts beating fast. Without thinking, Victor stepped forward. The crowd parted slowly, whispers rising. "Is that not? Wait, that's Chief Okonkwo now. See his suit, see shoe. Omo, money is speaking." But Amina didn't notice. She was lost in her own world. She hugged her notebook to her chest, then opened it briefly, glancing at a sketch. 2 girls holding hands, one standing, one in a wheelchair. She smiled sadly, closed it again, and spun. As she turned, her eyes landed on Victor. Her steps faltered for half a second. She saw the suit, the polished shoes, the cold seriousness on his face. She recognized his building. She had seen his face on posters, Victor Okonkwo, the man behind Okonkwo Group. But she didn't stop, she couldn't. Her body refused to be shy. She twirled closer, arms lifting as if inviting him into the circle. For the first time in years, Victor forgot how serious he was supposed to look. Something broke inside. The knot of guilt, stress, and regret that lived in his chest loosened. His daughters' faces flashed in his mind. Their laughter before the accident. Their tears after. Amina stretched out one hand towards him. Her voice was soft but clear. "Uncle, come now," she said in pure Lagos innocence. "Everybody can dance, even if it's small." The crowd chuckled. Phones went up higher. Victor's ears burned, but not from shame. From something else, fear and freedom mixed together. He took one step forward. "You want me to dance here?" he asked, half smiling despite himself. "Yes, sir," she replied. "Maybe somebody who cannot dance with their legs will feel it in their heart." Those words hit him like thunder. Without quite understanding why, Victor removed his shoes, dropped them by the pavement, and stepped barefoot onto the wet concrete. People gasped. Lagos paused. Up on the rooftop, Lana and Lola leaned so close to the screen that Chidinma had to hold it steady. "Daddy?" Lana whispered. "Is that Daddy?" There, under the bridge, billionaire Victor Okonkwo took a deep breath, reached out, and put his hand in the hand of a barefoot orphan girl. Together, they began to move, the billionaire and the orphan, the man who had everything and the girl who had nothing. And somewhere in the middle of the city, 2 paralyzed twins felt something inside them wake up again. Lagos did not sleep easily that night. Within hours, shaky videos of the scene under the bridge were flying around WhatsApp groups and TikTok. Billionaire dancing with street girl. Okonkwo Don dance under bridge, oh. Who is this girl? But inside Victor's mansion, another story was beginning. After the dance, Victor had walked up to Amina, breathing hard, suit trousers wet at the hem, toes black from the road. "What is your name?" he asked. "Amina, sir," she replied, hugging her notebook. "You live here?" He gestured towards the bridge. She nodded slowly. "I stay around. I draw dancers. I watch people. Then when rain is not too much, I dance." "Your parents?" She looked away. "They went to heaven long time ago. I don't like to talk about it." Something in her voice, not dramatic, just tired, pressed against Victor's heart. "Come," he said suddenly, surprising even himself. "You will follow me home tonight." Her eyes widened. "Sir, don't worry. My daughters saw you dancing. I think they need to meet you." Chidinma almost screamed when Victor entered the penthouse later that night with a small soaked girl in a yellow dress. "Daddy?" Lana cried. "Is that her?" Lola wheeled herself forward as fast as she could. "The dancing girl." Amina froze for a second when she saw them. 2 girls her age, identical faces, both seated in wheelchairs. For a moment her chest tightened. "These are the ones I drew without knowing." Then she smiled shyly and waved. "Hi," she said. "I'm Amina. I think I danced for you today." Lana laughed, a real bright laugh that had been missing from that room for months. "You did," she said. "I felt my legs dancing in my mind." Lola added, "And you made our daddy act like a mad person under the bridge." They all burst into laughter, including Victor. That night, for the first time in a long time, the rooftop garden echoed with chatter. Amina told them stories of watching from under the bridge, how she would peep at the fancy building across the road and imagine what kind of people lived inside. "So you mean you live there?" she said, eyes round, pointing through the glass at the city. "Like, really live there?" Victor smiled sadly. "We live here, yes. But sometimes it doesn't feel like living. It feels like surviving inside gold." The twins nodded. Slowly, a quiet friendship formed. Over the next few days, Victor arranged for Amina to stay in one of the guest rooms, for a while, as he told the staff. She was bathed properly, given fresh clothes, simple t-shirts, leggings, a new yellow dress that made her blink back tears. But the most important gift wasn't clothes, it was space to dance. The wooden platform on the rooftop, once used only for half-hearted physiotherapy sessions, became Amina's stage. Every evening, as the sun painted the sky orange and purple, she would stand in front of Lana and Lola and dance. At first, she danced alone while the twins watched, clapping and laughing. Then she started pulling them in. "Who said you can't dance?" She frowned one evening, hands on her waist. "Just because your legs don't work doesn't mean your body is useless." She wheeled Lana to the center of the platform. "Raise your hands," she commanded. "Feel the music in your shoulders, your fingers. Move your head. Dance is not only leg." Slowly, awkwardly, Lana began to sway her upper body. Lola followed, pushing herself slightly forward in her wheelchair, arms flowing. Victor stood at a distance by the glass door, watching, unnoticed. He saw something he hadn't seen in years, his daughters forgetting their wheelchairs. Their laughter grew louder, full, not squeezed out of them. "This girl," he thought. "She's changing the temperature of this house." Days turned to weeks. Amina started attending a small neighborhood school in the mornings. Victor made quiet arrangements, then came back to dance with the twins in the evening. She showed them how to move their hands like waves, how to count beats, how to feel rhythm in their chest. One rainy afternoon, everything changed. Victor had had a terrible day. A board member had threatened to pull out of the upcoming charity gala. There were arguments about sponsors, money, and image. "You can't just put disabled children everywhere," one man had said coldly in the meeting. "It will make the event too depressing." Victor's jaw had tightened. He left the meeting early, anger burning in his blood. By the time his car entered the compound, the rain was beating down in sheets. He slammed the car door, marched into the elevator, and headed straight for the penthouse. As he stepped out, something stopped him. Music, soft at first, then clearer, a faint beat coming from the rooftop garden speakers. Not the gentle instrumental tunes the physiotherapists usually played. This was different. Afrobeat, drums, shakers, life. He frowned. Who on earth put loud music there without my permission? He walked quickly towards the glass door leading to the rooftop and froze. What he saw made his breath catch. Under the fairy lights, on the wooden platform, Amina was dancing in the rain, hair wet, shirt clinging to her skinny frame. She spun, laughed, stretched her arms wide. On either side of her, Lana and Lola were in their wheelchairs, moving. Their hands flew in perfect timing with Amina's, their heads tilted, shoulders bounced. Their wheels turned slightly as they attempted small spins, guided by her. It wasn't neat, it wasn't professional, but it was beautiful. Thunder rolled in the distance, but their laughter rose above it. Victor's anger evaporated and was replaced with shock, fear, and something hot in his eyes. Behind him, Chidinma gasped. A guard whispered, "Ah, Oga go vex, see rain, see wheelchairs." Everyone expected him to storm out, shout about safety, complain about the music, the wet floor, the risk. Instead, Victor did nothing. He simply stood there, watching his paralyzed twins dance with an orphan girl as the rain washed the rooftop clean. He had caught them in the act of pure joy. What he did next would shock not just the staff, not just his children, but all of Lagos. Because in that moment he realized something. It wasn't the rain that was dangerous. It was a life without this kind of laughter. "Sir, should I off the music?" a guard whispered behind Victor. Nobody expected what happened. Victor slowly reached for the handle of the sliding glass door. "Don't touch anything," he said quietly. He slid the door open and stepped out into the rain. The cold drops slapped his suit immediately, soaking his white shirt, flattening his neatly combed hair. But he didn't flinch. On the dance floor, Amina and the twins kept moving, too lost in the song to notice him at first. "Turn," Amina shouted happily. "Move your hands. Yes, that's it, Lola. Lana, shake your shoulder. Ah, ah, ah. See you people now, superstar dancers." The girls laughed, their faces glowing, cheeks wet from rain and joy. Then Lola saw him. "Daddy," she gasped, her hands jerking to a stop. The music still played, but the air suddenly went tight. Lana turned, eyes widening. Amina froze mid-step, heart dropping into her stomach. For a moment, nobody moved. Victor stood there, drenched, breathing hard, not from anger, but from the weight of the moment. Chidinma stood at the doorframe, eyes wide. 2 security guards peeked from inside. Everyone waited for the storm after the storm. "Daddy, we're sorry," Lana blurted. "We just wanted to—" Dance, Lola finished, voice trembling. It was Amina's idea. Don't shout at her, please. Amina swallowed, stepping slightly in front of the twins as if to shield them. I'm sorry, sir, she said softly. I just wanted them to feel… She searched for the word. Alive. I didn't think about the rain properly. Victor stared at the three of them. His expensive wristwatch dripped water. His lips parted, but no angry words came out. Instead, he did something nobody expected. He walked forward, step by step, his wet shoes squeaked against the wooden floor until he was standing in front of them. Do you feel alive? He asked his daughters quietly. They blinked, confused. Today, he continued, voice shaking, when you were dancing, did you feel alive? Lola nodded slowly. Yes. Like before the accident? He pressed. Not the same, Lana whispered, but close. A long breath escaped his chest. He turned to Amina. And you? Why do you keep dancing in places where nobody is looking? Her answer was simple. Someone is always looking, she said, glancing at the twins, even if I don't see them. A laugh, half-choked, slipped out of Victor's mouth. It sounded rusty, unused. Then, in full view of his staff, in the pouring rain, on a rooftop garden in Victoria Island, billionaire Victor Okonkwo did something no one could have scripted. He took off his suit jacket and dropped it on a nearby chair. He rolled up his sleeves. He stepped behind Lana and Lola and placed his hands gently on the handles of their wheelchairs. Amina, he said, eyes suddenly bright, show us the step again. Everyone froze. Sir? Amina asked. Show us, he repeated. Teach us how to dance in the rain. Music pounded from the speakers. A new song started, slower but full of rhythm. Amina's lips stretched into a slow smile. Yes, sir, she replied. She moved to the center, lifted her hands and began again. This time slower, with exaggerated gestures so the girls could follow. Lift your hands, she called. Lana and Lola lifted their arms. Turn your wheels small, she instructed. Victor gently pushed their wheelchairs in small arcs as they waved their arms, their laughter rising again. Now everybody spin, Amina shouted. The twins spun in place, their father guiding them. Amina turned too, her wet hair flying, her notebook forgotten on a chair. From the doorway, Chidinma wiped her eyes. This life, N, she whispered. See Billionaire turning wheelchairs in the rain. God is great. One of the guards quickly filmed the moment, unable to resist. By the time the song ended, all four of them, Victor, Amina, Lana and Lola, were drenched and breathless. Victor knelt in front of his daughters, water dripping from his chin. I'm sorry, he said suddenly. They frowned. For what, Daddy? Lola asked. For turning this house into a prison, he replied, for being more afraid of you getting hurt than helping you live. For forgetting that, even if your legs don't move, your hearts can still dance. He turned to Amina. And you came from under a bridge to teach a billionaire how to be a father. Amina shook her head quickly. No, sir, he raised a hand gently. Listen, in 3 days, we have a charity gala. I was planning the usual, rich people, small speeches, big checks. But watching you today, I realized something. He stood up, eyes suddenly full of fire. We're going to change the whole program. Lana blinked. How? This year, Victor said, my daughters will not just sit beside me in pretty dresses, they will perform. They will dance, with you. The girls gasped. A dance? In wheelchairs? Lola whispered. Yes, Victor replied firmly. You, Amina, and any other child our doctors say is safe to perform. We will show Lagos that disability is not the end of joy. Amina's heart hammered in her chest. Me, she squeaked. Dance, in front of rich people, on real stage. With proper lights, Victor added. Proper sound, proper costume. He turned to the doorway. Chidinma, she jumped. Sir, call my event planner. Tell them to redesign the gala around a performance called When Hearts Dance, and get our foundation lawyer on the phone. I have another idea. What idea, sir? She asked. Victor looked at Amina, then at his daughters. Tonight, he said softly, I didn't just catch an orphan dancing with my paralyzed twins' daughters. I caught a vision. We're going to build a program that brings orphans and disabled children together through dance and art. Lagos will not forget this. A bolt of lightning split the sky behind him. Thunder rumbled like applause. Amina's eyes filled with tears. Sir, why are you doing all this? She asked. His answer was simple. Because you reminded me that wealth is useless if it can't make broken hearts dance again. He extended his hand. What do you say, Amina? Will you dance with us and help other children dance too? She placed her small hand in his. Yes, sir, she said. Let's shock them. The night of the charity gala arrived like a movie premiere. The grand ballroom of a five-star hotel on Victoria Island glittered with chandeliers. Tables were dressed in white and gold. Waiters in black and white moved like quiet shadows between chairs. Outside, expensive cars lined up, Range Rovers, G-Wagons, Bentleys, dropping off Lagos's finest. Inside, powerful men and women in lace, agbada, and designer gowns whispered to each other. Did you hear? Chief Okonkwo changed the program last minute. They said he's adding children to the show. Abeg, I just hope food is not delayed because of any drama. Backstage, the real story was happening. Amina stood in front of a mirror, barely recognizing herself. She wore a simple but beautiful white dress that floated around her knees when she turned, with a small red ribbon tied in her hair. Her feet were still bare. She insisted on that. I dance better when I can feel the floor, she had said. Beside her, Lana and Lola were dressed in matching white tops and soft trousers, their wheelchairs decorated with tiny fairy lights. A choreographer had helped them design moves that used their upper bodies, arms and wheels. You look like angels, Amina whispered. Lana smiled. And you look like the one that leads the dance. Victor poked his head backstage, wearing a black tailored suit and a bow tie. You three ready? He asked. Lola grinned. You, Enko, you're dancing too, or you're just forming chairman? He laughed nervously. I'll join for the last part. Please don't disgrace me. Don't disgrace us, you mean? Amina teased. The MC's voice boomed from the hall. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our host, Chief Victor Okonkwo. A roar of applause. Victor stepped on stage, greeted the crowd, said the usual things about gratitude and charity, but there was a new light in his eyes. Tonight, he said into the microphone, we will talk about donations and projects, yes. But first, I want to show you why this foundation matters. He nodded toward the back. 3 children changed my life this month. My twin daughters, Lana and Lola, and a little girl who used to dance under a bridge. A curious murmur ran through the room. Please, he said, open your hearts and your eyes. This is when hearts dance. The lights dimmed. Soft music began. A spotlight hit the center of the stage, catching a small figure in white, Amina, standing alone, head bowed. Slowly, she lifted her face, eyes shining, and stretched out her arms. She moved softly at first, steps gentle, like rain beginning. Then, as the drums joined the piano, her movements became bolder. She spun, leapt, twirled, a small streak of white and red on the polished stage. Gasps rose around the hall, people leaned forward, then 2 more spotlights snapped on. Lana and Lola wheeled themselves onto the stage from opposite sides, arms already moving in perfect synchronization. Their wheelchairs glided along marked tape lines, turning in time, hands swirling like waves. Amina danced between them, sometimes behind, sometimes in front, sometimes holding their hands as she spun, using their wheels as part of the choreography. They moved in a circle. 3 points of light, the orphan, the paralyzed twins, the rhythm that joined them. At one point, the music softened. Amina stepped back as the twins wheeled themselves to the front, raising their arms, heads tilted back, eyes closed. For a long, breathless moment, their chairs didn't matter. They were simply girls dancing. A woman in the front row began to cry silently. A man in heavy agbada dabbed his eyes with a handkerchief, pretending it was heat. Then, in the final part of the performance, the crowd got its biggest shock. Another spotlight came on. Victor walked onto the stage. People actually laughed out loud. Chief want to dance. Phone must enter hand now. But Victor didn't care. He walked behind Lana and Lola, placed his hands on their wheelchairs, and joined the choreography. On cue, he pushed them gently, turning in circles, moving them like extensions of his own body. Amina danced around them, guiding when needed. It wasn't perfect, but it was powerful. When the music ended, the 3 children ended in the center. Amina standing with her arms outstretched, Lana and Lola on either side, holding her hands. Victor stood behind them, hands resting on the girls' shoulders. Silence, then thunderous applause. People stood, chairs scraped, some shouted, "Bravo!" Others just clapped and clapped, tears running freely. The MC hurried back on stage, almost shouting over the noise. "Ladies and gentlemen, let's keep clapping. Don't stop. This is the future of our city." Victor took the mic, chest rising and falling. "Tonight," he said, voice thick, "you didn't just see a performance. You saw a miracle. Not because my daughters suddenly walked, they didn't, but because they danced, and because an orphan girl, who used to sleep under a bridge near my office, reminded me that life is more than balance sheets and shares." He turned to Amina. "This is Amina. She had no stage, so she made the street her stage. She had no audience, so she danced for whoever might be watching, even if it was only God." He faced the crowd again. "I caught her dancing with my paralyzed twins' daughters on my rooftop, and what I saw shocked me. I realized I was the one disabled in my heart, afraid, closed. Tonight I am changing that." He pressed a button on a small remote. Behind him a screen lit up with a logo, Heartwarming Foundation. "This foundation," he announced, "will pair orphans and children from the streets with children living with disabilities. We will use dance and art to heal, to connect, to give them family where there was none. I am funding the first 5 years myself." A wave of whispers swept the hall. He continued, "And I'm starting with Amina. Tonight, in front of all of you, I am announcing that I will be sponsoring her education and training as a professional dancer. If she agrees, this house," he nodded toward his daughters, "will also be her home." The mic shook in his hand for a second. "Amina," he said, turning to her, "will you let us become your family?" The room went silent again. Amina stared at him, then at Lana and Lola, who were already grinning with hopeful eyes. "You mean I won't have to sleep under the bridge again?" she asked, voice trembling. "Never," Victor answered. "You mean I can dance on real stages and still come back to sisters?" she whispered. "Yes." She swallowed, then laughed through her tears. "Then yes, sir," she said. "Yes, Daddy." The word slipped out of her mouth unintentionally, but once it was there, it filled the air like light. Lana squealed. "We now have a dance sister." Lola pumped her fist. "3 twins." The crowd exploded in applause again, some cheering, some shouting, "God is good," others already calculating how to send in their donations. That night, social media went wild. Clips of the performance spread everywhere. When Hearts Dance Foundation, Billionaire and the Orphan. People who had never met Amina or the twins felt their story in their bones. But for the 4 of them, far away from the noise, the most important moment came later, when the lights were off, the guests had gone home, and the city was quiet again. On the rooftop garden, under a calmer sky, Amina sat between Lana and Lola, each of them wrapped in soft blankets. Victor stood by the railing, looking at the city. "Do you think it will last?" Lana asked. "What?" Amina replied. "This feeling," Lola said softly, like our hearts are still dancing." Amina smiled, hugging her tattered notebook, now with fresh blank pages added. "It will last," she said, "because we're not dancing for cameras, we're dancing for us. And for all the children who think nobody is watching." She stood up, stretched her hands. "Come on," she grinned, "one small last dance before we sleep." The twins laughed. "There is no music," Lana protested. "There is always music," Amina replied. "Sometimes you just have to listen deeper." Victor turned and watched as his 3 daughters, 2 by blood, 1 by grace, began to move together under the stars, their silhouettes outlined by the faint glow of the city below. He thought of the night he first saw Amina under the bridge. He thought of how he had caught an orphan dancing with his paralyzed twin's daughter and expected it to be another problem to solve. Instead, it became the beginning of healing. For him, for them, for children he hadn't even met yet. And as the soft sound of their laughter rose into the night, Victor finally understood the richest thing he would ever own was this moment. What is your view about this story? Where are you watching from? If you liked the story, comment, share and subscribe to our channel for more interesting stories.